It might not be panic time in San Francisco after all, at least a full-on panic. My name is Joe Dolan, and this is the Fantasy Points Daily Lineup for Wednesday, December 7th, 2022.
It's time for the FantasyPoints.com Daily Lineup. Staying on top of the latest news and updates around the NFL. Rise and shine, folks. We're taking the field. Here's your host, FantasyPoints.com's Joe Dolan.
I want to apologize for not having the daily lineup yesterday, but life gets in the way sometimes. You might have noticed during a couple of lineups in the past that I have two greyhounds who run in. As a matter of fact, let me just flip you around here. See those? Well, this one right down there, Butterscotch, she has a sore paw, you might notice. And she, because it was sore, she licked it. You know, the old adage, licking their wounds. Well, it actually is true if you have dogs. And it got infected. So she had to go to the vet yesterday. It's been a stressful point in being a dog parent. But life goes on, and so does the daily lineup. And there appears to be a slight chance that our quarterback one plays again this year. Per ESPN's Adam Schefter, the 49ers got good news on Jimmy Garoppolo on Tuesday. Schefter tweeted, quote, "Doctors concluded today that 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo does not need foot surgery. It is not a Lisfranc injury, and if rehab goes smoothly, he could have a chance to return in 7 to 8 weeks, making him a potential playoff contributor." Now, let's be generous and assume 7 weeks means 7 weeks from Sunday when Garoppolo suffered the injury. That would mean week 20, which is the divisional round of the playoffs. And our Dr. Edwin Boris said that's realistic. And if Garoppolo manages to accelerate that timeline, there is a slight chance that he's available to play in the wildcard round, which would obviously be a big boost to the 49ers. Now, in the meantime, their starting quarterback is expected to be Brock Purdy. And we'll talk Baker Mayfield on tomorrow's show once we get more information about him with the Rams. But it should be noted that Adam Schefter reported that the 49ers did not put in a claim for Baker Mayfield. So they obviously feel pretty good about Brock Purdy and their recent signing Josh Johnson to maybe hold down the fort. Now, here, I asked my good buddy Fran Duffy from the Philadelphia Eagles, who does maybe the best draft podcast out there, the Journey to the Draft podcast. And he said he liked Brock Purdy a lot for what he is. He was a guy who played in a pass-heavy offense in college. He compared him to Gardner Minshew. And when I hear Gardner Minshew, I think of like a Case Keenum type, you know, those kind of quarterbacks who Mike White type of quarterback who Mike White's tall and Purdy's a little undersized, but guys who played in these air raid systems in college who get the ball out quickly, know where to go with the football. I think Brock Purdy, if that's the case, he is a 7th-round rookie after all, should be able to execute a well-schemed offense, which the 49ers system is. My expectation, a lot of design touches for Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey close to the line of scrimmage. I don't expect Brock Purdy to light the world on fire, and that's why this news on Jimmy Garoppolo is positive. But Brock Purdy is the style of quarterback who should be able to execute this offense. In our first running back spot, Kenneth Walker is injured. Walker picked up an ankle injury in the second quarter of Week 13, and he never returned to action, which left the backfield in Seattle to DJ Dallas and Tony Jones, with Travis Homer inactive with an illness and knee injury. Walker injured his ankle, planted his foot in the turf at SoFi Stadium, and it didn't appear to be serious. Coach Pete Carroll said it was jammed, but the Seahawks will do further testing to see if he'll miss time. Now, meanwhile, Dallas picked up his own ankle injury in Week 13 and was listed as doubtful to return before seeing additional work late in the game because they needed to. Because the only healthy running back on the roster at the time was Tony Jones, and he was in the medical tent. Once Jones returned, DJ Dallas did not play again. Now, with all the injuries, the Seahawks signed the Seahawks signed Wayne Gallman to the practice squad. I lost my part in the script. Now, to make things interesting, Rashad Penny said after the game that he could return from his fractured fibula by the end of the season or the playoffs, which means he's unlikely to impact this backfield the next week or two for fantasy, but could impact it in reality. This backfield could be a fantasy trap if Walker misses time, and he'll hopefully return this week to square off against a Panthers defense that's allowing the 9th most fantasy points per game to the running back position. In our second running back spot, let's talk Joe Mixon. The Bengals appear optimistic that Mixon will return from his 2-game absence for a concussion in Week 14, which happens to be a glorious matchup against the Browns' run defense. But what is notable is that the Bengals have gotten a fantastic performance in back-to-back weeks from Samaje Perine in the place of Mixon. It's worth noting that Mixon has had a lot of touches this season, and with Perine averaging 82 yards on the ground and 42 yards through the air in his 2 starts, Cincinnati could choose to preserve their starting running back for the playoffs. It's very possible we could see the Bengals choose to scale up Perine's workload into a 60-40 kind of split. Now, if Mixon is back this week, you got to play him in this matchup, but it's certainly no guarantee he gets the workload we have come to expect from him. In our first wide receiver spot, we might not see Odell Beckham this year. ESPN's Ed Warder reported on Tuesday that Beckham, who is being courted by the Cowboys, Bills, and Giants, and maybe others, might not be ready to play. Here is what Warder tweeted. Quote, "The Cowboys have concerns after Odell Beckham's physical that his recovery from torn left ACL in Super Bowl," he's omitting, articles here because it's a tweet, "has not progressed enough to ensure he would play before mid-January, and possibility exists signing him would have no benefit until 2023 season." Now, if Warder is reporting it, this is good information because he's covered the Cowboys for years. But it's also coming right from the Cowboys. Is this a negotiating tactic? Right now, after this gets leaked out, it's kind of hard to imagine Odell Beckham signing in Dallas if Dallas is trying to tank his market. So this is a fascinating little layer. And, if you've been holding on to Odell Beckham, probably a sign that there's really no reason to eat up a bench spot right now. The saga continues. At wide receiver 2, Courtland Sutton might not be ready to go this week. Coach Nathaniel Hackett, who looks more and more like a dead man walking every day, called Sutton day-to-day with a hamstring injury on Monday. The Broncos are averaging a truly pathetic 1.2 touchdowns per game after mustering only field goals against the Ravens in a pathetic 9-point effort in Week 13. Sutton has been one of the few somewhat reliable fantasy options in this offense, but they could be forced to try to score touchdowns without him after he left after just 1 target against the Ravens. He has posted 5+ catches and 66+ receiving yards in 3 straight games before the injury, with Jerry Jeudy mostly out of the lineup. Now, Jeudy had been emerging as Russell Wilson's top target with 53+ receiving yards in 5 straight games in weeks 4 through 8 before picking up the ankle injury that cost him action coming out of their bye in Week 10. Jeudy played on just 38% of the snaps in his first game back from his injury, but he actually paced the wide receiving core with 4 for 65 receiving. Jeudy is unlikely to score in any given week, just like the rest of the weapons in this offense, but he'll have the chance to lead this receiving core for as long as Sutton is out of the lineup. Lamar Jackson is fighting through something in our flex spot. Adam Schefter confirmed on Tuesday what our Dr. Edwin Porras feared on Sunday. Lamar has a PCL injury. Here is what Edwin said about PCL injuries, which, by the way, he predicted on Sunday is what Lamar had. Quote, "If this is high severity with cartilage involvement, the worst case scenario is a scope similar to Cordero Patterson from earlier this year. If this is a simple contusion, expect Lamar to miss about 2 games. Typically," Edwin continues, "this costs athletes 2 to 4 weeks as previously projected. Prep for no Lamar for 2 to 3 weeks and cross your fingers it's only a 1-game absence. In the meantime, Tyler Huntley will be a very, very popular streaming quarterback option because of his legs, but this is a really bad offense that just lost its best player." I'm Joe Dolan, and this has been the Fantasy Points Daily Lineup. Thanks for dealing with life things getting in the way. I care for my dogs incredibly much, so it's been a stressful time, but it appears that she is back on the mend. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Catch me in our subscriber Discord. Catch me on the Final Points live stream on Sunday, the point spread on Friday, which, by the way, will be at 2 p.m. this week. We're changing the time to 2 p.m. on Friday for the Final Points live stream. So just throwing that out there for all of you who want your betting content at fantasypoints.com. Stay tuned for our super early bird special so you can re-up for 2023, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.